For a long time, I wanted to talk about what makes a video game a masterpiece, so I thought about it for a while and was trying to boil it down into kind of a simple way of looking at it. However, as I started thinking about it more and more, I realized that the entire criteria that I was judging things on actually didn't matter. I originally was going to talk about how a masterpiece of a game would be something where basically you would have to have both. Well, not both, but all inclusively. You need to have an amazing audio soundtrack, fantastic gameplay, and a good story. Something where when all of these things came in harmony, that you would have a game that really became a masterpiece. I was going to cite certain examples. I was going to talk about how, for example, one of my favorite games was a game called Nier. Not the Automata that just came out, though I'm sure that's great, but the actual original one, Gestalt and Replicant. It was a bit of a sleeper hit. Not a lot of people played it, but it had a fantastic storyline. It had this just rich, beautiful soundtrack and highly enjoyable gameplay, even though it was a hack and slash and was very repetitive. But realistically, when I started thinking about it, I came to the conclusion that, in all honesty, the only thing that really needs to be done for a game to be considered a masterpiece, at least in my mind, is how much satisfaction you get out of it. And the reason that I came to this conclusion is when I started thinking about what is the game that I have recommended to more people than anything else, I realized that title goes to Doki Doki Literature Club. And I'm sure that anyone who has ever been in my stream is well aware of how much I love and praise the game. It's something where the game does not have amazing gameplay. If anything, its gameplay is extraordinarily limited, and it makes use of a medium in a unique way. And then on top of that, it's not like well, I guess its audio is kind of a masterpiece, but in its own unique right. It's not something where you're going to sit there and be like, oh wow, I want to listen to this, or holy cow, that makes me feel amazing. But it does do a great job at evoking the emotions that it's supposed to. So, in all honesty, what I've come to the conclusion is when it comes to what makes a game a masterpiece, I think it's weird, but we should judge it more off of our enjoyment. In some ways, you could claim that Dead by Daylight, a game completely filled with bugs, riddled with errors and glitches, and basically just kind of a slodge-podge put-together game, is still in its own right a masterpiece because, hey, it's got someone like myself who, as much as I critique the game, I've got over 800 hours in it, and that number's probably going to keep continuing to grow. Likewise, I think that there's a lot of people who will continue to enjoy simple games that they like themselves. That's part of the reason why you find certain fan bases that are dedicated to a game. Another example of what I would consider a masterpiece would be Undertale. Undertale was a game with an amazingly rich story, and it also had, honestly, a phenomenal soundtrack. I really enjoyed the Undertale soundtrack, but obviously, again, gameplay was limited, and it kind of took a trope and just kind of turned it on its head, and I think that's kind of what makes games really unique. As for me, probably one of my other favorite games, one of the games I play more than anything else, is good old-fashioned Dark Souls, and while it has the amazing gameplay and story, I would definitely say that its soundtrack isn't anything amazing to talk about. It has, honestly, kind of repetitive noises, in my opinion. The boss music is semi-iconic to any Dark Souls player, but even then, it's not something that you're really thinking of. It doesn't impact you in the same way that so many other games can do. And so, more or less, all I wanted to get at was that you never really know what's going to be a masterpiece to you. And in all honesty, I wouldn't mind talking about what you guys think are some masterpieces. If you guys have anything in mind that you would want to talk about, then please let me know. I just decided that I've been putting off trying to make a podcast-like video for so long that I just wanted to sit down and record. I didn't have any real thought or process going into this. I am not a script writer. I just decided to sit down and ramble because that's kind of what I do best. Another game that I honestly would say is, as silly as it sounds, a masterpiece is League of Legends. I don't think I have met anyone who really didn't enjoy League of Legends as a game. I mean, don't get me wrong, the community, the fan base is basically taken that entire game that everyone loved and kind of tore it to pieces. And in all honesty, that's the biggest problem with the game, is not the game itself, but the fan base. They kind of created a genre that was just overwhelmingly fun to play and had so many unique abilities and possibilities. But other than the gameplay, League has nothing for it. Its graphics are mediocre, and its soundtrack is honestly just completely forgettable. I don't think anyone ever would talk about League of Legends, amazing audio. It's just kind of there. It's, it's background noise for the game. But at the same time, I do think that that's a masterpiece, and the fact that it was at one point in time, I don't know if it still is, was the largest game ever played. Like, it had the largest active player base. And while I definitely think it's kind of fallen from its peak, I still think it's, it's obviously still consistently one of the best. And so I do think that there are certain games that can't be considered masterpieces, as much as I hate to say it, things like, well, Fortnite. I honestly don't think Fortnite would be something that you can spin into claiming is a masterpiece, mainly off of the fact that it is unique and it did add a new element to a shooter, but I don't think it was something where it's, how shall we say, I don't think it revolutionized the genre. I don't think it really defines it. It added a unique building aspect, which is kind of unique, but at the same time, it's almost like it took a mini game and just put it on steroids. I feel like that's essentially what happened with Fortnite. But I mean, hey, it's my opinion. You guys are welcome to disagree. It's not like I'm at any authority on anything, to be completely honest, but I just figured might as well see how far we can go with this. But I think that's going to be it. A little, who knows, a little 6-minute blurb that I'll throw up on YouTube, and maybe you guys will enjoy it. Not quite a full hour podcast like I want to do, but I'll get to that eventually, maybe someday. For now, it's something, right? Anyway, take it easy, guys.